Pictonico just launched today, so I decided to give it a go and get some early impressions on it. If you don't know what it is, it's a new Nintendo mobile app. Seems to be heavily inspired by the WarioWare series, so you play these quick-timed microgames, and the twist is that it uses faces from your photo gallery on your phone. I did pick up both of the paid packs as well, just to see what's in there, and going back to the demo specifically, it was pretty interesting that you don't seem to be able to filter the photos at first. My initial run, I think it said, "Are you happy with this photo?" I said yes, and then I clicked play again, and then it picked some random photos, and it ended up picking one of my grandma's funeral pictures that they chose to kind of represent her. And it was strange seeing that photo in a game where you have to chomp food, so that was something. Once you get access to the full game, there's an option to filter photos. You can do it by albums on your phone, dates, and you can even individually add and remove pictures from there. And this is a great option if you want to play with other people, because you're not going to get pictures popping up there that you don't want other people to see. Honestly though, I think the weird surprise factor is one of the best parts of the game. There's something genuinely funny about getting some random photos that you completely forgot existed and throwing them into minigames. And it's actually pretty impressive what kind of faces it can pull out from photos. So it gets some really obscure background faces, ones from, game cases and all sorts. My gameplay personally was filled with John Cena, Ella Purnell, my local member of parliament, the cast from Dexter Resurrection, memes, and friends and family who I've tried to not include in this footage. You're also able to just take photos and use it for that specific session as well. If you're like me and you never tidy up your phone gallery, you're going to end up with lots of screenshots and WhatsApp downloads that are going to get thrown into the mix. Most of the time it'll try and use the ones with faces on, but sometimes it'll just use a picture of something, so it might just be like, a screenshot of some email confirmation you've got or something that just happens to get thrown in there. So the way the game discovers new photos is that it does it in intervals when you click play game, and you can skip this process because it does seem to put it to one side. So if you want to skip it, it will use the faces that it's found before. If you want to wait, you can get new faces in that pool that it can select from. I also saw some options to do background processing, so if you just want to let it go and get all of your faces from your phone, you can do that. One issue I did run into though is that certain people show up a lot. So I'm on there a lot because it's my phone and I've got selfies and profile pictures, and it doesn't seem to filter based on person, kind of like how Google Photos says, here's an album for this person, here's an album for this person. And it would be good if it could do that, because then there would be a lot more variety. I want to see more of people like family members and random people from screenshots they've got. I don't want to always see my own face, so that would be kind of cool if they could do some filtering in that way. Circling back to the start of the game, we get introduced by a character called Masky, who doesn't really have much personality. It's not on the level of the WarioWare characters that you get, probably because there isn't really a story. In WarioWare you'll have cutscenes before levels start, and then after the level finishes as well, how that story continued. And each character tends to have a gimmick, like a different input that you can use, or a different pose if you're playing the Wii or Switch version. And in that later Switch version, you'll use the Joy-Cons in lots of different ways. So all sorts of poses, use the IR camera, use the buttons, use motion, and none of that's really here. You're kind of just stuck with touch-based stuff, and it's not seemingly multi-touch. It tends to be, here's tap on this, hold this, drag this. And you're restricted to a small portion of your phone, because it seems like Nintendo wants you to hold it vertically and to hold it in one hand. So it's really quite quick to get to different parts of the screen, so a lot of the minigames do feel quite easy. I do think there is more they could have done with mobile devices to make it feel more WarioWare, like switching up to, here's one where we're going to use the motion sensor in your phone, or here's one where you have to use the volume buttons to, mute this person that's trying to call you. Or here's one where you have to match the expression using the camera of one of the photos you've already taken. Something like that might make it a bit more interesting, and then you get that quick, you've got to swap pose or swap input, and I think that'll be a lot more interesting than just lots of touch-based games, especially since it looks like they're going to add more packs in the future, looking at the menu, and it's going to be more of the same. One thing they could do, which I'm surprised isn't here at launch, is add a retro games collection. kind of like the ones you get in WarioWare, where you'll get like Balloon Flight, Mario, Zelda, having your faces in those games might be kind of interesting. So I'm surprised it's not there. So the two paid packs, the first one you get 50 games in, and the second you get 30. And you are able to mix and match these, which is really helpful because it would get kind of stale if you couldn't do that. And these also come with stage select, so it's kind of like a world map you're progressing through. Ever so often you'll unlock keys that can be used to unlock new modes for that volume or set of mini games you've bought. So there'll be like random 10, which lets you do 10 random mini games from that pool. There'll be score attack, where you go until you run out of lives, and then there's different difficulties of that. I haven't unlocked them all, but it seems like maybe there's one where you have one life and so on. Those different kind of modes you typically get with WarioWare. You also earn coins while playing, which can be spent on these little photo fortune pools. It's just not that amusing to me. Either way, there's some collectibles that you can get from playing the game. There don't seem to be any boss minigame equivalents like in WarioWare, so I'm hoping that they add some longer lasting minigames because they are already quick and it's over very fast. But yeah, I do wonder why this isn't a WarioWare game, and I'm wondering if Nintendo feels they can reach a wider mobile audience if it's its own standalone thing. And also, something to think about is, why is the free-to-play aspect so small? It's just this little tiny demo with a couple of games. Here's what the game is, and I felt like they learnt from Mario Run that premium games don't do very well on mobile. So I'm surprised there's no, you can play 10 random games today, have one session, or you can have the first pack of 15 free, and then you can still do score attack and that kind of thing, but it's very restricted. Overall, I think it's a decent package, but it does really need to integrate other inputs in there to take it up to a new level. I think that's kind of what it feels like it's missing. I'm not too bothered about the fact that there's no cutscenes or there's no characters behind the minigames. I just think it needs something where I'm not prepared for the next minigame that's going to come up. But most of the time I just tend to be like, oh, I just have to touch it, tap on this thing, and it's just not as exciting. But yeah, if the aim is to make the game accessible to as many mobile devices as possible with just simple touch and not taking accelerometers and that kind of things into consideration, then it succeeded. But I think it did it at the cost of gameplay. I'm not sure that adding more minigames in the future is going to fix this unless they drastically change things up. And that's all I have to say for Pictonico for now. If anything crops up in the future from more playtime with it, I'll make a follow-up video, but for now, that's my opinion on it, and be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.